everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry about the little delay. There was a little bit of technical difficulties, but I think I got that squared away. It seems to be live now. I appreciate you joining me. This is the first of my weekly streams. And I'm going to start off with a song that came to be because of an evening in Ireland, a little town called Carrick-on-Shannon in County Leitrim. And after the gig, the proprietor offered me a pint of Guinness. We sat down together and we drank that pint and had a nice chat. And all of a sudden he told me he needed to lock up and head home so he could open up the next morning. I asked him what time he opened. He said 9:30 in the morning. And I figure anybody that opens a pub at 9:30 in the morning ought to have a song written about them. So it's called the 9:30 Pint.
It's not so big a town, and I know all of the locals. Some come in to read newspapers, some forget their bifocals. Strangers find a home here, trust me, I have seen all kinds. 9:30 in the morning is when I start pouring pints. The 9:30 pint can set the morning right for the one who just got off after working all the night. It's a stop along the way as he makes his journey home. Before he pulls the curtains close, disconnects the phone. The 9:30 pint for whoever wanders in. Well, it's not for me to wonder or ask where they might have been. If he passed out in the bushes or if he caught a couple winks, well, I don't make it my business to know why they need a drink. The 9:30 pint, perhaps to start a person's day. Who am I to judge? Who am I to say? 'Cause if they leave here happier than when they first come in, I'll be here tomorrow morning should the punter call again. The 9:30 pint is one I'm glad to pour, 'cause I'm grateful for the business that comes in through the door. So what are you having, sir? What's it gonna be? I can tell you're not a local, but you from across the sea. So top of the morning to ya, it's another fine day. I turn away no one, 'cause I have bills to pay. You see that pub across the street, the one up top the hill. If I don't pour the early one, well, you can bet they will. So before you rush to judgment and condemn a decent man, allow me to introduce myself and offer you my hand. I'm just your friendly publican. You're very welcome here. I open at 9:30. You don't have to drink beer.
So I just want to take a second to acknowledge my assistant and friend, Barbie Angel, who's helping me monitor the comments today, and she'll be dropping in the URLs for the various ways that you can support me if you are so inclined. Barbie, in her own right, is quite a poet and performance artist. She has been voted the best of Western North Carolina poet for at least the past 8 years running, if not 9. So you might check her out as well. It's Barbie Angel with 2 L's at the end. I'm already one song into my show, and I haven't done a baseball song yet, so I guess I better do one. The very first game that Jackie Robinson ever played with the Whites was in the minor leagues. He was signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he played for their farm club, the Montreal Royals. And their very first game was in Jersey City against the Giants, and Jackie Robinson went 4 for 5 that day, and one of his hits was a home run. And when he rounded third base and headed for home plate, the very next batter was a fellow by the name of George Shuba. And instead of waiting at the on-deck circle, George Shuba stood at home plate waiting for Jackie Robinson. And when Jackie reached home plate, George Shuba had his hand extended and a big smile on his face, which was an incredibly profound moment in baseball history. And this moment was captured by a photographer. And that photograph spoke volumes to me, and I wrote this song called The Handshake.
Both the ump and the catcher had the hands on their hips. It was only a handshake, was a coming to grips. Sun was casting long shadows as he touched every base. And as he rounded the third one, the sun lit up his face. It was only a handshake. Maybe not quite. It was captured on camera in black and white. The two of them smiling as he touches the plate, as he crosses the line, when he knows that he's safe. It was only a handshake on opening day. No one knew what would happen if the fella could play. It was only a handshake, but it was the first. And of course there were others who stood up and cursed. It was only a handshake on a minor league field. And it wasn't till later it became a big deal. It's just something that happened. It was nothing he'd planned. The guy hit a homer, so he stuck out his hand. It was only a handshake, a bond between men, teammate to teammate. That's all it was then. He stood there to greet him. He could have waited on deck. It was only a handshake, but he showed him respect. It was only a handshake. It was only a handshake. It was only a handshake. It was only a handshake.
So, I have a brand new song I want to sing for you. Nobody has heard it except for at a little virtual campfire last night that the Kerrville Folk Festival put together because the festival was postponed until October. It should have been happening right now. That's where I would have been. But I'm here now. You're here now. And this is called Half the People.
Well, people are looking to rumble, and the other half are spoiling for a fight. The logic that they're using is all jumbled, but who needs facts when you know you're right? Half the people nowadays are bonkers, and the other half have all gone insane. Everybody everywhere looks angry, and they need to blame somebody for their pain. Now half the news you get today is phony, and the other half you get today is fake. But what's real is the independent journalist who gets tortured but refuses to break. Half the people have lost their marbles, and the other half, they've all lost their minds. On top of that, we've become so heartless. Underneath it all, we must have lost our spines. Half the people have gone crazy, and the other half have all gone mad. Well, I could make a fortune selling bridges if I hadn't sold the last one that I had. Half the people have no idea, the other half, they haven't got a clue. They'll believe anything anyone will tell them, unless it can be proven to be true. Half the people are just plain cuckoo, and the other half are just plain Looney Tunes. Bite your tongue, you can't talk sense to any of them. They hate you when you burst their balloons. Now half the people are talking rubbish, and the other half are all just talking crap. Well, you've got to remind yourself to be careful not to step into the trap. 'Cause half the people nowadays are bonkers, and the other half have all gone insane. Everybody everywhere looks angry, and they need to blame somebody for their pain. Half the people are just plain cuckoo, and the other half are just plain Looney Tunes. Bite your tongue, you can't talk sense to any of them. They hate you when you burst their balloons. Yeah, half the people nowadays are bonkers, and the other half have all gone insane. Everybody everywhere looks angry, and they need to blame somebody for their pain.
So that's brand new, and obviously I will have it more under control the next time you hear me play it, but really wanted to play it for you today. And it kind of goes hand in hand with this song and the one that will come after this song. I think they make a nice trilogy. My most recent CD is called Them and Us, which is a concept that I really don't even believe in, because I think that we're all just one big us. And I hate to think in terms of thems, because I don't think it does us any good. So it's called Them and Us.
There's a standoff all across the Great Divide, with friends and family members on both sides. Someone struck a match, it would combust. scorching everyone, both them and us. It's raining dirty words and disrespect. It's not having any positive effect. The bridges have collapsed because of rust. We can't reach each other, them and us. We've got our earplugs in and our blinders on. And where have all the flowers gone? Where once there was a garden, cool and lush. All that's left here now is them and us. And I've never felt so lonely in this world as I do when all those banners are unfurled and the airwaves are just spewing all that stuff about us and them. Look what it's done to us. Our differences are few and overblown, and that sometimes leads to punches being thrown. But there seems to be a few things to discuss, but you can't say a word to them or us. We write them off because of how they vote, and they write them off because they came on a boat. We turn our backs with contempt and with disgust at every one of them who isn't us. We identify them by the clothes they wear. We identify them by their skin and hair. And we look for any reason not to trust whatever about them is not like us. And I've never felt so lonely in this world as I do when all those banners are unfurled and the airwaves are just spewing all that stuff about us and them. Look what it's done to us. Thoughtful, decent people turning mean. If only all our gods could intervene. There must be some controls they could adjust. Maybe they could make us whole, them and us. And I've never felt so lonely in this world as I do when all those banners are unfurled and the airwaves are just spewing all that stuff about us and them. Look what it's done to us. There's a standoff all across the Great Divide with friends and family members on both sides.
I understand that I'm not showing up on YouTube, so I'm sorry about that. I don't know why that is, but I know I'm on Facebook, so you're seeing me there. Like I said, this next song goes with that last one. As it is these days, it's awfully hard to talk about politics and anything that might matter. Oh, I got a little note from Barbie here. What is she saying? Oh, I am on YouTube. Good. Yay. So, when you get together at family gatherings or anywhere you might be, and there are people there that don't share your political beliefs or understandings or whatever, and so it's very difficult to have a conversation sometimes, but I think I have finally found a way.
After 3 or 4 tries, I poked out his eyes, and that's how I got him to see. To get him to hear, I screamed in his ear, and I gave him the 3rd degree. I sharply berated him, I told him I hated him, I wasn't very kind. I shouted and cussed until I won his trust. Well, that's how I changed his mind. I shunned him, ignored him, I wouldn't look toward him, I only would give him my back. I accused him of lies, I would not compromise, I erased him after the fact. I was abrupt, I would often interrupt, and we were volatile when combined. And in stating my case, I blew up in his face, and that's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. I blamed him, shamed him, insulted and inflamed him. That's how I changed his mind. Now this man was an ass. I was gonna let him pass, let him take a wide berth of me. But I was right and he was wrong, like I was telling him all along, trying to just get him to see. But he's a this and I'm a that, and so we couldn't have a chat of the friendly and civilized kind. Round after round, I just ground him down. Well, that's how I changed his mind. I stomped on his toes and I punched him in the nose. I was using irony. So sure of the truth, I knocked out his tooth and I kicked him twice in the knee. I won over his heart with a poisonous dart, and you should have seen me unwind, being overly cruel and with ridicule. Well, that's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. I blamed him, shamed him, insulted and inflamed him. That's how I changed his mind.
Works every time.
Now I called him a fool, challenged him to a duel. I threw my white glove in his face. 20 paces and I shot, and I must have hit the spot. Anyway, that's how I his way. Well, I won in the end, after making him bend, and after all the papers were signed. In the end, I won. Well, that's how it was done, and that's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. Blamed him, shamed him, insulted and inflamed him. That's how I changed his mind. Yeah, I blamed him, shamed him, I might have even maimed him. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind. That's how I changed his mind.
So, I think I'm going to pull a song out of the vault. That's what I'd like to do with these weekly streams, is play some new stuff, play some current stuff that maybe you've heard me play in the last couple of years, and pull some things out from the vault that I maybe haven't played in a while. And by all means, if you have songs you'd like to hear and you want to make requests, send me an email or a Facebook message or something. But please give me a few days advance warning, so if it's a song I haven't played in a while, I can run through it and polish it up a little bit. I do want to mention something here that I will never charge a ticket price for these weekly streams. They will always be free, and whatever you might want to contribute would be very much appreciated. I also would like to let you know, in case you don't already know this, that all of my music is available on Bandcamp as downloads, very high quality downloads, FLAC files and WAV files. And it is all there for free or for whatever you might want to pay for it. But I don't want to let the fact that somebody might not have the money to spend right now, I don't want that to keep you from being able to enjoy my music. So please, by all means, go to Bandcamp and help yourself to any or all of my albums. And if that's the case and you can't afford to pay for it, just enter 0 as the amount, but pay it forward. Do something good for somebody else somewhere along the line, and we'll be even. So we'll get on to another baseball song here. Back around the early 1900s, around 1910, 1911, 1912, the warden at the Wyoming State Penitentiary decided that he wanted to form a baseball team and play other prisons and play semi-pro teams. And the players on that Wyoming State Penitentiary team were literally playing for their lives because they were all on death row. And as long as they kept winning, they kept getting to play again. So this is called the Death Row All-Stars.
Where the Rockies meet the plains, towns rose up to meet the trains. Frontier justice handed down. Rollins was that kind of town. They'd hang somebody now and then, make some shoes out of their skin, put them up there on display, reminding folks crime does not pay. Wyoming built the state pen here for the worst of men to spend their years. Tom Horn had been the last to hang before the shortstop Joseph sang. Now all my teammates one by one, and each of us a mother's son, will follow to the gallows pole. Lord have mercy on my soul. Warden Austin came, he hung a picture he had framed of Connie Mack, his eyes ablaze, sitting with his world champ ace. He ordered balls and bats and gloves to form a prison baseball club, and teams from all across the West would testify we were the best. Practice in the prison yard, concrete diamond pocked and scarred. I only lived to crush that ball somewhere far beyond those walls, to places I won't ever see. Go on, ball, you go for me. Give those lawmen all the drop. Keep on rolling, never stop. On game days, homemade banners hung. The streets were full and the bells were rung. The Carbon County Volunteer Band played for the people in the stands. Our dark blue flannels trimmed with white fit just fine, baggy or tight, compared to wearing prison blues that kept us off the working crews. 1912, trophies on the warden's shelf. We went 39-6 against the clock that always ticks. The warden bet on us to win, and so did the judge. The two were friends. Our executions would be stayed depending on how well we played. Yesterday I struck out twice. I lay all night on a bed of ice. The warden called me in this morning, asked me for my uniform, offered me a cigarette, told me that my date's been set. Tomorrow, should the sun still rise, I would be the most surprised. This here 5x7 cell at the old Crossbar Hotel. I leave things just the way they are, the photographs and the baseball cards. Whoever has to take them down, there's one of me out on the mound. Send it to my mama, please, and tell her I died from some disease. Tell her I died from a rare disease.
That's a true story. All the stories I tell are true, even the ones I make up. I stole that from Annie Gallup. Great line. Several years ago, my father took the whole family to Israel for a beautiful tour. And while we were there, it happened to be Holocaust Remembrance Day. And we went to Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum. And while we were there, I saw something very striking that I knew as I was looking at them, I was going to write this song the first chance I had. And that's exactly what I did. And this song is called Lily's Braids. And these braids that I'm going to sing about belong to a little girl by the name of Lily Hirsch, who was from Transylvania, and this is her story.
The house he was born in was only next door. His country had vanished, people no more. Out in the garden, some little boys played. He had only come back to retrieve Lily's braids. The neighbors were home. To their word, they were true. They'd kept them safe, like they said they would do. Despite any orders they might have obeyed, it was righteous of them to have kept Lily's braids. Word had come down, the Germans were near. They had taken a village a few miles from here. There was no place to run, there was no place to hide. It was no longer safe to be going outside. Whispers of horrors, what they did to the Jews, sorting into piles the clothing and shoes at the railway station, shaving their heads, then taking the hair to make pillows and beds. Lily's hair had never been cut. The curtains were drawn, the doors were shut. It had hung to her knees just moments before. The braids would be safe with the people next door. Lily's mother quietly prayed. She said, "Come here, child, and don't be afraid. Promise you one day we'll pin them back on after the war, when the soldiers are gone." The house he was born in was only next door. Lily's brother returned sometime after the war, and they were all he had left, and how heavy they weighed, though maybe not as much now that he'd retrieve Lily's braids. Maybe not as much now.
So I'm working on an entire series of Holocaust story songs, and I know it's not the cheeriest of subject matter, but it needs to be done. And as you know, I've been releasing these songs one at a time on various albums through the years, and have almost enough to compile them on a dedicated album. But that will be in due time, and in future weeks I'll be playing more of those songs. A couple of things that I just want to tell you before I get on to the next song. If you would like to be notified about any future streams on Facebook, if you notice in the upper right-hand corner of the viewer you're looking at me in, you'll see a little bell-shaped icon, and if you click on that, it'll give you an option to get notifications anytime I'm going to go live. Also want to let you know that I'm available to do private virtual house concerts on Zoom through my Zoom account, and that can be open to up to 100 different people. It's a lot of fun. It's a blast. We keep the microphones open so that I can hear you laugh, I can hear you applaud at the end of songs, and it's just like being together, kind of, almost, sort of, maybe. But it's making the best of the situation anyway. And if you're interested in doing that, contact me either through Facebook, or you can email me at chuck@chuckbrodsky.com, which reminds me, my website is chuckbrodsky.com, and there's a lot of really cool stuff there. There's an entire baseball section that I think, if you haven't seen it before, you'll really like. I also want to tell you about Patreon very briefly. If you're not familiar with that already, Patreon is a wonderful thing. It's a way that folks who want to support me can do so, but at the same time, you get exclusive access to things that I don't share elsewhere. things like first drafts of new songs, maybe, or a video of a brand new song that I'll share there a good week or two before I'll share with anybody else. Photos, background stories to some of my songs, excerpts from a little book I've been working on writing, all sorts of stuff that you can only get access to as a supporter. But the cool thing is that unlike a platform like Facebook, where there's a lot of divisiveness, people comment back and forth and argue with each other, on Patreon, it's all about community. And it's all about the fact that all of you would be my supporters. So you have that in common. And any discussions you have amongst yourselves would probably tend to be very positive in nature and not so negative. And you can become a patron for as little as $1 a month. I have all sorts of tiers set up. But the truth is, you get equal access, whether you contribute $1 per month or $25 million per month. You get the same perks. And I hope you'll consider signing up. So, let me move on. And I don't think I'm going to have a hard stop at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. I know that there are other things that you all have to do, but if you want to hang with me for a few extra minutes, I want to play all the songs on my set list today and not have to cut out anything. So it's possible I'll go 5 or 10 minutes over. This next song has kind of a funny story behind it. Not the song itself, but what happened once I released it. I had a gig set up in Texas. I'm not going to mention which town. I don't want to identify anybody here. But I was asked to please send a copy of my newest CD, Them and Us, to the local public radio station there, who had agreed to play from it and support the show and help announce it, advertise it. And so I did exactly that. And when I showed up for the concert, the hosts asked me whether I intended on playing this next song or not. And I said, well, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about making my set list yet. Why would you like to hear it? And they said, as a matter of fact, we'd prefer you don't play it. I said, oh, okay, no problem. Do you mind my asking why? And they told me that when the CD first came to the radio program, like all radio stations, there's a person there whose position is to preview all incoming CDs, all new CDs sent by artists, and make sure that they're suitable for the format the station plays, make sure there's no foul language or anything like that. So when they listened to the song, which I wrote from the perspective of another person, they were absolutely certain this was autobiographical, and they did not like what I was saying through this song, and they assumed, like I said, it was autobiographical. And so they decided that not only could this song not be played on their station, but nothing by Chuck Brodsky was allowed to be played on their station because they thought that I was writing this autobiographically. I'm positive you will not make that same mistake.
My supremacist friends are only doing what God intends, burning crosses, burning mosques, vandalizing synagogues. We're the patriotic sons with our semi-automatic guns, prepping for a civil war to make things like they was before. Me and my supremacist clan, this is how we take our stand, underneath a Nazi flag, marching right up the main drag, past the church, past the school, where they teach the golden rule, where the children play outside. When we go by, they run and hide. The secret handshake makes you kin, at the door it gets you in. It's how we tell a friend from foe, it's something only we would know. supremacist bud, stir each other's thirst for blood, getting drunker by the hour, mixing things that all taste sour, till we can't control the rage. Any excuse to open the cage, it cannot stay inside the house. The beast is foaming at the mouth. My supremacist dad one time beat a foreigner bad. He was somewhere he shouldn't have been. He shouldn't have been with his color skin. And after daddy kicked his ass and left him lying in the grass, I got some of my own licks in. He was somewhere he shouldn't have been. The secret handshake makes you kin. At the door it gets you in. How we tell a friend from foe, it's something only we would know. Me and my 12-year-old son one time made a foreigner run, chased him down a dead-end street until the circle was complete. There was nowhere that he could run, but I couldn't do what my daddy done, not in front of my own son. I couldn't do what daddy done. The secret handshake makes you kin. At the door it gets you in. How we tell a friend from foe, it's something only we would know. Secret handshake makes you kin. At the door it gets you in. It's how we tell a friend from foe, it's something only we would know.
So I'm sure that you did not think that that was autobiographical. I want to give a little shout out right now to all my friends up in Michigan. There's a retreat, songwriter retreat up there that I just love. I have taught at it many times, but even the years that I'm not on the staff, I like to go as an attendee anytime I can. It's just a great community of people up there. If any of you are songwriters and interested in attending songwriting retreats, look up Lamb's Retreat for Songwriters, L-A-M-B, Lamb's Retreat for Songwriters. It happens the end of October into early November. 2 different sessions and back-to-back weekends. A lot of people stay for both. Great welcoming community up there. And the thing that I really love about it is that we're all given songwriting assignments by John Lamb, the director. And every one of these assignments is unique. Every one of them was extremely well thought through. John creates these in the week leading up to the retreat. And over the years, I've written 5 of these songs that ended up on CDs and part of my shows, several others that, I don't really play, but they were great exercises anyway. But this one was, the premise behind this is that I'm supposedly at some kind of a formal dinner ball, and I get a tap on the shoulder by a woman that asked if I'd like to dance. Well, I do not dance, period, ever. Ain't gonna happen, don't even imagine it. It is a mathematical and a scientific impossibility. And this all goes back to my days at Kinwood Elementary School in Ballackinwood, Pennsylvania, because we were forced to come back to school on Friday nights after dinner for dance lessons. We had a woman who was about 147 years old teaching us the latest, greatest, hippest dance steps from whenever she was a kid. And in the 6th grade, nobody, I mean, the boys and girls were not even talking to one another, so nobody was dancing. They were spinning music, and there was nobody out on the dance floor, and it was really lame. So when we showed up for the 2nd week, they had a solution. All the girls, as they arrived one by one, were told to take their left shoe off, throw it in the center of the gym, and this great big pile of left shoes formed. And then just before that first dance, after all the boys had arrived, we were all told to go pick one of those left shoes. And whoever the owner of it was going to be our dance partner for the entire evening. And that's how I got severely traumatized by a particular dance partner. This is called Two Left Feet.
Certain girl I was hoping to meet, but I'd asked her to dance, but for my two left feet, she wasn't sitting with anyone else. I was just sitting there all by myself. I said, I didn't dance, I have two left feet, to this other girl standing over me in my seat. Besides, it really wasn't my kind of beat. This wasn't the girl I was hoping to meet. I wasn't attracted, not on first glance. She wouldn't go away, I didn't want to dance. She lifted me up to my two left feet. My eyes went for the girl I was hoping to meet. Well, I was thinking I should make a break for the door. She pulled me out there onto the dance floor. The band started in on an old-fashioned waltz. She didn't lead, and so I did by default. It was awkward enough, those very first steps. Stepped on her right toes and then on her left. Evading her eyes, I tried to be discreet, keeping tabs on the girl I was hoping to meet. Waist made me relax. She moved it up to the small of my back. Touching the nerve, I shot her a glance. She said, I thought you told me that you couldn't dance. She pointed down at my right foot, gone all the right places wherever I put it. She followed me when I spun her around, and when I dipped her all the way down, the way her hair fell back and hung to the floor, the way we locked eyes then and forevermore. The thing about beauty, and I don't know why, sometimes you don't see it till it pokes you in the eye. And one song ended and another began, and we exchanged names and applauded the band. I guess I never did let go of her hand. For the next couple hours we danced and we danced, and now we go out dancing every Saturday night. She dresses up, she's quite a sight. This was the girl I didn't want to meet. That was the guy with the two left feet.
Well, I just want to thank you all for tuning in today. I'm going to play you one more song, but I hope that you'll just make a note that I'll be doing this every Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And please feel free to send any requests my way early in the week if you can. And if there were any technical difficulties today other than the start of the show, I'm unaware of them, blissfully unaware, but I will soon find out and hope to correct them by next week. Some of you might know this has been quite the process, quite the learning process. 2 months ago, I started from scratch. I knew virtually nothing about audio and video and streaming and platforms that you stream on and all this stuff. So it's been quite a challenge for the last couple months learning about it all, and awesome to finally get off the ground with it. And I'll smooth out the kinks, I'm sure. But I'm so glad I can play for you in these circumstances. So whenever the day comes that I can get back out on the road, I'll do that. But in the meantime, any opportunity to play for you online is a welcome opportunity. And like I mentioned before, feel free to contact me if you're interested in private virtual house concerts for you and your friends and family. So, can't think of anything else I wanted to say to you. Just thanks again to Barbie Angel, and you might want to look her up on Facebook and check out some of her poems and the videos of her performance pieces. She's also on Patreon, and I'm a patron of hers. She's a patron of mine. So I'm going to sing a song that I'm going to dedicate it to my mom, because she loves this song. It's her favorite one. It's my oldest song that I still sing. I wrote it almost 40 years ago after I had just hitchhiked from Philadelphia to San Francisco. Mom, of course, was not very thrilled with the thought of me hitchhiking. She tried to get me to take the money for the Greyhound bus, and I had to say to her, Ma, Woody Guthrie would never have taken money from his mother for the Greyhound bus. So I walked the 2 or 3 miles to the interstate, got on the Belmont Avenue on-ramp, and off I went. Took a week, and I got to San Francisco, and I wrote this song the day that I got there. It's been sung by a lot of people through the years, recorded by several. Some you would have heard of, some you wouldn't have, but among the ones you would have, Sarah Hickman. Let's see, the African Children's Choir of Uganda has recorded it, and Kathy Mattea recorded it in a film, and lots of friends and lots of other people. So here it is. It's called We Are Each Other's Angels. If you know it, sing along back home, and I'll hope to see you next week, same time, 3 o'clock Eastern. Thanks for being here today.
Well, I hope I see you later, 'cause it's time for me to go. That's my ride that just pulled over, and it sure was good to know you. So go answer your calling, go and fill somebody's cup. And if you see an angel falling, won't you stop and help them up? We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time. We keep each other going, and we show each other signs. Sometimes you'll stumble, sometimes you'll just lie down. Sometimes you'll get lonely with all these people around. You might shiver when the wind blows, and you might get blown away. You might lose a little color, you might lose a little faith. We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time. We keep each other going, and we show each other signs. So thank you for the water. Thought I was gonna die out here in the desert, but you quenched my thirst. Let's break a little bread together. Got a little manna. It was a gift from someone who was passing by and offered me a lift. We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time. Keep each other going, and we show each other signs.
Be well, everybody. Hope to see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.